Welcome to the Morning Edition Extra. I'm Adelmi Ruiz, coming to you from Alaska's News Source's digital desk. Thank you so much for joining me this morning and for starting off your Thursday morning with Alaska's News Source. So our top story. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth risked endangering American troops by sharing sensitive war plans, and that's according to 4 sources who are familiar with a classified Inspector General report. These findings were sent to Congress on Tuesday, and an unclassified version is set to be made public on Thursday. The report says Hegseth potentially endangered troops and mission objectives when he used the Signal app in March to share highly sensitive information about planned military strikes in Yemen. One message sent by Hegseth specifically stated when bombs were set to be dropped. The Inspector General's report says Hegseth shouldn't have used Signal and that senior Defense Department officials need better training on protocols. So far, there's been no comment from the Pentagon. And the House Oversight Committee on Wednesday released never-before-seen photos and videos from convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's home in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The images show grounds that resemble a luxury resort fit with ocean views and a massive swimming pool. Several bedrooms and bathrooms can also be seen, including on rooms that with what appeared to resemble a dentist's chair. A dentist chair is surrounded by masks on the wall. One photo shows a landline telephone with first names written on the speed dial buttons, and another appears to show a study where there are words written on a blackboard. Both images include redactions. Ranking member Robert Garcia called the images disturbing and said they were being released to ensure transparency in the House Oversight Committee's ongoing investigation into Epstein's, quote, horrific crimes. The committee also received records from J.P. Morgan and Deutsche Bank and intends to release those files to the public on the days ahead following a review. And a mother's grief has turned into a national call for action. A new federal law signed this week carries the name of her son and the weight of a fight that she refused to abandon. Georgina Fernandez shows us how her determination reached all the way to the Oval Office and what this moment means for families facing the reality of fentanyl.
With a stroke of a pen,
I did everything I could to help them move the bill.
It's a moment Sandy Snodgrass held onto with her son, Bruce. She's been waiting more than 3 years for this.
We finally got that.
Bruce's Law.
He was the center of my life.
Is named after 22-year-old Bruce Snodgrass.
I said, I love you, Bruce. Please be careful out there like I always did. It's the last thing I ever said to him.
Who died from a fentanyl overdose in Anchorage in 2021.
I could not accept it, that my son was poisoned. I told my family I'm going to take a run at fentanyl, and I've been running at it ever since and will continue to run at it until we get some positive results.
Those results seen Monday. Bruce's Law is now part of the law President Trump signed in the Oval Office.
It's extremely overwhelming. You feel like you're not really there, but you know you are there.
Part of the bill requires a public awareness campaign. Snodgrass hopes that means more people receive an honest education about fentanyl's dangers.
If you never take an illicit drug, you can never die from an illicit drug.
No, years ago, did you ever think you'd be in Washington, D.C. having these conversations with the president?
I'm a clinical psychologist from Anchorage, Alaska, so yeah, no. Not even close.
Now, with her goal reached,
it is still my job to be a good parent, and this is how I'm doing that.
She says she's working to strengthen other fentanyl laws, holding on to make sure Bruce's memory always has a lasting impact.
Even though he's gone from this earth, I am still Bruce's mother.
Georgina Fernandez, Alaska's News Source.
An Eagle River man was sentenced on Wednesday to 20 years in federal prison for child exploitation offenses. The U.S. Attorney's Office says 30-year-old Michael Ketter contacted a sex worker in 2023 asking about girls under the age of 12. An FBI investigation later found he possessed child pornography and had a 2019 conviction in Indiana. He pleaded guilty to attempting to coerce a minor and to receiving and possessing those images. And a man in Ketchikan has been sentenced on state charges after pleading guilty to possession of child sexual abuse material. 23-year-old Logan Omer received a 25-year sentence Tuesday with 20 years suspended, 10 years of supervised probation. Omer was first arrested in 2021 after a cyber tip and then faced a second case in 2024 after prosecutors say a quote enormous amount of illicit content was found while he was released pending trial. He accepted a plea deal in June of this year, 2025, to consolidated possession counts. And consumers looking for a merry and bright spot in their budgets this holiday season can find it at the gas pumps for most areas. Karen Kaifa is in Washington with a look at what's driving prices to their lowest levels in years across the lower 48.
A holiday treat for drivers.
We haven't seen gas prices this low since 2021, and we could continue to see that trend as we head into the holiday season.
AAA said the nationwide average for a gallon of regular gasoline dipped below the $3 mark this week for the first time since May 2021. And in some states, the average is even lower.
You've got high supply, lower demand. You've got a lower gasoline blend that's cheaper to produce. You combine all of that, you're going to get lower gas prices.
The major driver of gas prices, crude oil prices, has dropped significantly. In December 2022, 10 months after Russia invaded Ukraine and destabilized the global oil market, U.S. oil prices were around $81 per barrel. Lately, they're hovering around and below the $60 mark.
Crude oil prices this year have been relatively stable and relatively low. When you look at the national average across the board, starting in January of this year, it's been pretty much a flat line all year long, and that's very rare.
Both the U.S. and OPEC have upped their oil production in recent months, adding more supply to outpace demand. Another contributing factor, most pumps right now are filled with winter blend gasoline, which costs less to produce. And with the exception of the busy winter holiday periods, overall demand typically falls during winter. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa. A holiday treat for drivers.
We haven't seen gas prices.
25 trillion barrels of oil, that's how much the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, or BOEM, estimates is under the seafloor surrounding Alaska, along with 124 trillion cubic feet of gas. Of course, getting it out of the ground is the hard part, and while some are hoping to do just that, others want to leave it under the sea. And Costco is suing the Trump administration and alleging some tariffs are unlawful. It appears to want a refund if retailers win a separate but related Supreme Court case. Costco says it's been trying to keep down prices, but says tariffs make that difficult. It imports many items it sells and has to pay an applicable duties on those goods. The Trump administration is trying to convince the Supreme Court to let the tariff stand. Some experts say other companies may also file suit to try and get money back if the tariffs are ruled unlawful.
Freezing rain, slick and hazardous roads continue to be a big concern across the region as we are continuing to hold on to that chance for some freezing rain. Side roads, parking lots, as well as sidewalks continue to be the biggest concern across the region as we are watching some of that freezing rain accumulating. Now, a trace to about a glaze of ice looks possible, even in areas where we're not going to see that freezing rain. Temperatures are hovering near to above freezing, so slick road conditions will continue to be a concern. And you can see some isolated to scattered activity across South Central while the radar is picking up snowfall. That's above that warm layer. So as it falls through that warm layer, it's melting in the form of some liquid water, which is accumulating at the surface in the form of some freezing rain. So notice West Anchorage, along parts of the Glen Highway and then southern parts of the valley, this is where we are seeing some of those freezing rain concerns. There is a winter weather advisory from the valley through the Anchorage Bowl until 6 p.m. this evening. And then as you head out towards western parts of the Kenai, that winter weather advisory continues until noon. Now, I'd like to pull out this atmospheric sounding. This is the temperature profile through the atmosphere well above the surface. We're talking about several miles above the surface, but it's the bottom part of the atmosphere that we want to look at when it comes to what we're seeing across South Central. That blue line we just highlighted, that is the 32-degree freezing line in the atmosphere. Now, notice as you head just above the surface, our temperature, which is that red line. The green line is our dew point, so you can see very saturated air that remains with us across South Central. But our temperature nosing above freezing as you head above the surface of the earth. And that's why we've got some freezing rain in the forecast. It's taking some time to erode away this warm layer that we do have across South Central, and as a result, that is why we are seeing that freezing rain. In fact, temperatures at the surface holding near to slightly above freezing as you head out towards the hillside, 33 degrees. And so just a few hundred feet above the surface, we're seeing those temperatures of about 33 to 35 degrees. And that's where we've got that warm layer and why we continue to hold on to some freezing rain concerns across South Central. So that stays with us throughout the day. We'll try to see some snow mixing in, but we've got to erode away that warm layer first. Once that does occur, we may see some isolated areas, some snow in the forecast with some light accumulation. And then we kind of dry out later today, but picking up an additional rounds of some wintry mix, if not some light snow showers tomorrow. Of course, if we still have that freezing, or if we still have that warm layer aloft into our Friday, we could still see some additional areas of wintry mix or freezing rain. Beyond Friday, things dry out outside of coastal regions, which we'll see some snow in the forecast. This comes as our next storm system brings the return to some winter weather out towards the Panhandle. But we are first alerting you across South Central for that freezing rain concern, which stays with us for the first part of the morning. And again, trying to mix in some snow. This is not guaranteed, but if we erode away that warm layer aloft, we will see some snow potential later today. Should that occur, that snow falling on those icy roads will provide some traction, but you'll still see some slick conditions across South Central. And if this doesn't occur, we'll continue to hold on to these very dangerous side roads, sidewalks, and parking lots. So if you're going to be out and about walking on any of those surfaces, do the penguin shuffle. You want to make sure that you protect yourself and prevent yourself from falling and injuring yourself. And if you are driving on those roadways, give yourself plenty of time to get where you are going, plenty of following distance and stopping distance, because as you hit some of those ice pockets, you could skid. And anytime you do skid, make sure you turn into that skid to prevent yourself from sliding off the road or hitting something. 34 degrees today will be the high across a good portion of South Central, and we'll see about a 30-degree temperature drop through the weekend into early next week as highs drop into the single digits, and we could be even talking about overnight lows dropping well below zero in some of those notoriously cold spots through the Kenai, into the valley, as well as the Copper River Basin. 23 degrees into your Friday with that chance for some mix. Temperatures in the teens for the weekend with even colder conditions next week. Quieter, much quieter weather builds in across not only the South Central, but the state as a whole, leading to plenty of sunshine. We may even see some areas of freezing fog back in the forecast as we welcome in the weekend and next week. Adelmi?
All right, thank you so much, Aaron. And a new report shows thousands of phone companies still lag behind on robocall protections. In this Watching Your Wallet, consumer investigator Carice Jackman digs into why these unwanted calls keep coming and what's being done to stop them.
This is devastating, and the powers that be have not been able to figure out answers to protect us.
They're calls nobody asked for. Robocalls flooding our phones at all hours of the day and night. And despite federal efforts to block them, consumer watchdog Teresa Murray says they're still getting through.
Why are we still seeing robocalls spike?
The short answer is the bad guys are always a step or two ahead of the rest of us. Regulators haven't done enough. Congress hasn't done enough.
It's an issue Murray and the U.S. PERT team addressed in their new report, Ringing in Our Fears. Their analysis found that out of more than 9,200 phone companies that filed with the FCC, 4,084 have completely installed the required robocall fighting software, while 1,696 have installed it only on parts of their network. Another 2,909 have not installed it at all. And for 553 companies, their status was listed as not available. U.S. Telecom, which represents phone companies, disputes PIRG's findings, saying the report misinterprets FCC compliance and that robocalls have been trending down. The group says carriers are adding security measures and working with law enforcement to stop illegal carriers. PIRG disagrees, arguing unwanted robocalls remain high and that short-term declines don't reflect the year-over-year increase they found.
They've been very slow to roll out any kind of like filters or any kind of blocking. Most of them do a minimal amount of protecting us.
With this Watching Your Wallets, I'm Carice Jackman.
U.S. PIRG says earlier this year the FCC adopted new rules expanding mandatory call blocking by phone companies. Previously, the rule applied only to U.S.-based intermediate providers handling foreign calls. The new requirements take effect in December. So if you do get a scam call, PIRG says don't stay silent and report it to the BBB or FTC so investigators can track any new schemes. Companies cut back on job cuts last month. U.S. employers announced just over 71,000 layoffs in November, according to outplacement firm Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. That's roughly half the amount from October, when a surge in pink slips came from several of the nation's bigger companies. As for November, the fields that saw the most job losses include telecommunications, technology, and food. Analysts say nearly 1.2 million jobs were cut so far this year, and that's the highest amount recorded in a January through November stretch since 2020. And tonight, an in-depth look at a federal crackdown on commercial driving schools is threatening to close thousands of training programs nationwide, but state officials say Alaska's programs are in the clear. Johnson Kuhn has the story. And apologies for that. The wrong video seems to be playing on the screen. We did reach out to the Alaska Department of Transportation for commercial vehicle safety statistics. You can find that information on our website and mobile app. Federal officials say nationwide reviews are ongoing. And the dropping temperatures aren't only Here is our own John Thompson, who had a conversation with our Washington correspondent Emma Wolfers on Washington, D.C. and government happenings.
Well, President Donald Trump announced a cut in federal fuel economy standards for auto manufacturers. He says that the move will save consumers more than $100 billion. Alaska's news source Washington correspondent Emma Wolfers joins us now live from D.C. Emma, what are the details of this proposal?
Well, John, President Trump and the U.S. DOT are calling this the Freedom Means Affordable Cars. They say it will replace the Biden-Buttigieg EV mandate. Pete Buttigieg was previously head of the U.S. DOT under the Biden administration. They also say this will promote consumer choice and enhance safety. It will reset the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's corporate average fuel economy standards. Those are just the standards federally for the U.S. auto industry. And the administration adds this is projected to save the American people that more than $100 billion, like you mentioned, over the next 5 years, with families saving about $1,000 on the average cost of a new vehicle. This proposal would apply to passenger cars and light trucks for model years 2022 to 2031. But not everyone on board with this. The nonprofit Environmental Defense Fund says this new rule would actually waste gas, cost American families money, and increase air pollution by rolling back these standards set under the prior administration.
All right, a classified Inspector General report says that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, risked endangering troops by sharing sensitive war plans on Signal. Now, how is the Pentagon responding to this?
Well, John, the Pentagon says this investigation shows Hegseth is exonerated. They released a statement saying this investigation proves what they knew all along. No classified information was shared here. They said, quote, "This matter is resolved and the case is closed," end quote. But that's not what people who have read this classified report say. They say it found Hegseth put U.S. personnel and their mission at risk when he used that messaging app Signal to discuss sensitive information about a military strike against Houthi militants in Yemen. The Associated Press also reported the Inspector General's office says Hegseth violated Pentagon policy by using his personal device for official business.
Right, and finally, the Trump administration has paused immigration applications from 19 countries. Emma, why are they doing this, and what countries are included?
Well, this is part of a series of sweeping immigration changes the administration has put in place in the last week after those 2 National Guard soldiers were shot here in D.C. And this puts a hold on a few different immigration-related decisions, like green card applications or naturalizations. Some of the countries included here are Afghanistan, Haiti, Iran, Somalia, and Venezuela. Now, back in June, the administration put in place travel restrictions for these 19 countries. They banned travel to the U.S. by citizens of 12 of them and restricted access for 7 others due to national security concerns. But now, those people already in America, regardless of when they arrived, will face this extra scrutiny. The administration says it will conduct a comprehensive review of all approved benefit requests for immigrants who entered during the Biden administration. And they say within 90 days, they will have a list of immigrants for review, and if necessary, may refer them to ICE or other law enforcement agencies. We have no end date yet for this pause.
All right, Alaska's News Source Washington correspondent Emma Wolforst joining us from D.C. Emma, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. And the dropping temperatures aren't only uncomfortable, those temperatures that Aaron Morrison was telling us about, but the winter weather can also be dangerous, even deadly. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has simple reminders on how to stay safe in cold conditions.
When the temperature falls, the danger rises. In 2023, more than 1,000 deaths in the U.S. were due to excessive cold or hypothermia. And in the months ahead, experts are urging everyone to stay safe.
Winter weather can be extremely dangerous in so many ways.
The American Red Cross says if you do go out in extremely cold weather, wear layers of loose clothing and a coat, hat, mittens, and water-resistant boots. Using a scarf to cover your face and mouth can also help. And inside, if you use a space heater or fireplace, keep anything that could catch fire at least 3 feet away from the heat. And to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning, don't use an oven to warm your home and only use generators outdoors.
This past year, the Red Cross has responded to more than 48,000 home fires. And this time of year in particular, a lot of that is caused because people are just trying to stay warm.
You should also know signs of potentially deadly hypothermia, including shivering, exhaustion, confusion, fumbling hands, memory loss, slurred speech, and drowsiness. When it comes to frostbite, symptoms can include a white or grayish yellow skin area, skin that feels unusually firm or waxy, and numbness.
Make sure to get out of the cold immediately and to seek medical attention urgently.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The American Red Cross says it's also important to check on loved ones and your neighbors who are more vulnerable in frigid temperatures, especially if they're older or if they live alone. And there will soon be fewer places to pick up a Grand Slam breakfast. Denny's announced it will shutter more of its restaurants nationwide, focusing on ones that have been underperforming. The chain hasn't confirmed which locations will be affected on Wednesday. The chain hasn't confirmed which locations will be affected. On Wednesday, Denny's said it was acquired and taken private by a group for $620 million. Denny's says the decision to close more of its diners came before the buyout. The CEO says these moves, which have been in the process since 2023, are all part of a plan to improve the bottom line by 2026. And the holidays are a time to give back. For a nonprofit in Las Vegas, it's a year-round effort. Reporter Victoria Saha shows us how this restaurant is turning leftovers into lifelines straight from the Strip.
The kitchen at 7th and Carson is busy, not just feeding their regular diners, but whipping up meals for those who need it most.
If I can give back to the community, I do everything I can.
An owner, Liam Dwyer, has been doing everything he can. Since the pandemic, he uses all leftover ingredients to dish out something new.
The person's only getting one meal or one good meal a day. I want it to be as the best quality I can provide.
Quality and empathy, two main ingredients, especially for those who may not know where their next meal may come from. Dwyer partners with nonprofit Holy Smokes Foundation as they go into the Las Vegas tunnels and downtown area to give these meals out.
In the past, we used to cook all the food at home, which was a little difficult because we always ran out of food or we didn't have enough food. So this partnership has really been beneficial for our charity.
Every Wednesday, the team stops by 7th and Carson and packs up what the kitchen has whipped up. For the organization, it isn't just giving a hot meal out.
We also focus largely on reminding people of their lives before they were inside. So through distributing warm clothes, blankets, food, that kind of thing, good food from a restaurant, people get to remember their lives before.
A life that's possible to get back to, the organization says.
Remembering their humanity and their dignity through not being in pain so much, that's when they turn their lives around and decide to come back inside, and we can connect them with resources.
A reminder, the significance of serving a hot meal can be beyond the ingredients. Victoria Saha, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas.
And here's an update on a new vision for addressing homelessness and addiction that is taking shape right here at home in Anchorage. Tiny houses designed to form a supportive community have arrived at their municipal site. 24 tiny houses known as micro units have been moved into the space which used to be a parking lot behind municipal buildings near Tudor and Elmore, with 8 more on the way. Workers are busy with final phase of construction, but inside, the tiny homes are taking shape. Baseboard heating, a platform bed, and small appliances is not a lot, but enough for people who don't have much at all.
We all know what it feels like to be able to close the door behind you and to be able to have your own space that is safe and quiet and that you can control. And I think a lot of people that will come into these units haven't had that in a while. And so that by itself is a very restorative thing that we can offer.
These tiny homes will focus on people who are currently experiencing homelessness and who also struggle with addiction or mental health issues and are looking for support to recover from those issues. For now, there's still plenty of work to be done, but they are hoping for a ribbon cutting ceremony soon, currently tentatively scheduled on December 10th. And members of Congress, the Marines, and Disney teamed up on Capitol Hill last night to help provide a little holiday cheer to children in need. They held a drive supporting Toys for Tots, part of Disney's Holiday Magic Tour, the company donating 5,500 toys to children in need across the greater Washington, D.C. area. Members of Congress and their staffs also pitched in, bringing toys to the event.
You know, if we all woke up every day and tried to be kind and tried to help someone who needed a little help and not make life about ourselves. Number one, it gives you a good feeling. It fills your personal bucket inside, but I believe it helps you be a better member of Congress in my role, so I'm going to do everything I can.
A retired Marine Lieutenant General Bergman says Toys for Tots has a special place in his heart thanks to its long partnership with the Marines. And continuing with talking about Toys for Tots, Marine Corps members plan to ship out tomorrow, loading up tons of Toys for Tots to make the season bright. As they say, here comes Santa Claus, and this Christmas he's wearing a uniform. Georgina Fernandez takes us inside the gates.
It's that time of year again.
They look forward to it every year.
The toys have been loaded up.
The toys are waiting for us, and we're waiting to get out there.
And the Marine Corps are ready to play Santa.
That kind of memory is such a unique and cherishable moment that our Marines get to do.
Marine Corps personnel are flying out this week to deliver tons of toys to children across Alaska during this year's Marine Corps Reserve Toys for Tots.
We are personally going to around 15 villages north of the Kotzebue and north of the Arctic Circle.
Through the 16th, Marines will be traveling to villages by plane and snow machine, spreading the holiday spirit across Alaska by hand delivering toys.
Well, from what my Marines have told me, it is one of the single most memorable things that they've done. Those Marines have actually been recipients of those toys from this program, and then that inspired them to join the Marine Corps.
The program, Toys for Tots, goes back to 1947 as an attempt to make sure economically disadvantaged children have access to toys during the holiday season. And in rural Alaska, the remote distance can make getting access to toys a costly challenge.
And it may cost, $5 to buy a toy in the lower 48, but in Kotzebue it may be $20 or $25 just because of the logistics alone. So us being able to support means that those families can pay for more essential things like food and electricity and water.
The mission kicking off last month when their partner Alaska Airlines flew 14,000 pounds of toys to Kotzebue in Ukqiagvik. That's now awaiting distribution as these Marines remain ready to serve no matter the mission.
A lot of us joined up because we saw that there was an organization that was larger than ourselves and we wanted to be a part of that, and this is just another extension of that piece there.
Inside the gates, Georgina Fernandez, Alaska's news source.
Last night, they lit up the Rockefeller Center tree, and it is a spectacular sight. The tradition began way back in 1931 with just a 20-foot tree that was decorated by construction workers in the Great Depression with tin cans, cranberries, and paper garland. From those humble beginnings with pooled funds by the construction workers to buy and decorate that tree, it has grown year after year. This year, the tree is a 75-foot Norway spruce, which is donated to Habitat for Humanity after the season and is decorated with 50,000 LED lights and a massive Swarovski star. And are you a Spotify user? Spotify's 2025 wrap just came out, as you might know, and with it, a bunch of announcements and most streamed artists. This year, Bad Bunny, the Puerto Rican rapper, is Spotify's top global artist of the year. His album, Debí Tirar Más Fotos, also was the top album of the year worldwide. Bad Bunny will also start off 2026 with something special to add to his resume. He'll perform the Super Bowl halftime show, which is expected to include a multilingual singing featuring Puerto Rican language. Taylor Swift came in the runner-up slot on Spotify's list, followed by The Weeknd, Drake, and Billie Eilish. And wrapping up the Morning Edition Extra, we have one final story for you guys that's also a holiday cheer type of vibes. The Anchorage Wolverines might not play another home game for 1 month, but that doesn't mean they're taking time off the ice. Wednesday afternoon skate with the Wolverines took place at the Diamond Center, where the players helped kids and sports reporters get their hockey legs under them. Tyler Lane has the story.
Well, we have made it. We are officially skating with the Wolverines, and while I clearly have a lot to learn, this has been fun for everybody. There you go. Grab your skates and come with me. We're gliding with the big boys today.
This is one of our biggest outreach events that we do for the season. This is our 3rd year, I believe, doing it, and last year we had such a great outcome that we actually had to do shifts.
The Diamond Center, taking over for the 3rd annual Skate with the Wolverines, where for a brief moment, fans used to viewing their favorite players from behind shielded glass.
This is my first time skating with the Anchor Wolverines here.
Instead, skating right alongside them.
It's awesome to give back. You know, they show up for us every weekend, and we like to do everything we can, and it's fun to see everyone's real face.
I just had a kid come up to me and ask if I remembered throwing him a puck, so yeah, it's pretty cool. Recognize some of them, but meeting new people too, so it's good.
For the players, it's a bit of a reprieve, trading fisticuffs and replacing them with Sharpies.
There you go. Yeah, of course. That's a good break for us, and get out in the community is good as well.
Here's why the helmet's here. Even going so far as to help this sports reporter. Still a bit green on blades. I haven't touched ice yet, so that's a plus. And while fans await the team's return to the Sullivan January 8th, the memories made here will last long after. I have clearly learned how to stay upright, but I have a long way to go. So I'm going to slide out of frame and leave this to the professionals. I'll see you guys later. Tyler Lane, Alaska's news source.
And Tyler, I think you had the greatest time, I'm sure. And that wraps up the Morning Edition Extra this Thursday morning. I almost said Tuesday. This Thursday morning. Thank you so much for joining us and for starting your day off with Alaska's News Source. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you again tomorrow for another Morning Edition Extra. Have a good day.